So, what are you doing in life right now? What have you got going on? I think it's good to have a background, especially talking about getting your business from zero to one. A lot of people
Hmm.
feel like they have to have a perfect background and a perfect platform starting point to jump off of. So, what have you got going on in
Hmm.
your life? What did you have going on in your life when you started Hova?
I actually had a fence installation company. This was in, gosh, I think it was 2021.
Yes.
A neighbor had come to me. He was my business partner, but he had come to me about the idea, and uh, uh, you know, we had started the company, and I mean, I had started the company off of YouTube. Like, I had no idea how to install fences, like whatsoever. But like every single thing I knew from fencing was because of YouTube or the guys at the manufacturing shop that were like, you know, getting together the material and actually giving it to me so I could haul it off to the job.
Yeah.
So like that's where I started, with this fence installation company where I had absolutely zero knowledge going into it. And I learned a ton of good things from the fence installation company. Um, I learned a lot about like I'm kind of going into too much detail, but like I learned to overestimate on the time frame of jobs, just because I say, hey, we'll get it done in a week, and then because of my lack of knowledge, and I didn't have like a secure team around me, I had to like overestimate on time. And so I learned either overestimate or um, hire the right guys around you. So just a lot of things that I learned from that fencing company. But about 6 months before that fencing company ended, um, I had the thought come to my head, like, gosh, in 10 years from now, can I honestly see myself being proud of owning a fencing company? For me, that was a big fat
Yeah.
no. And for other people, of course, like, you know, they might be proud of something like that. But for me, I just knew that that's not what I wanted to do long
Mhm.
term. I was really interested in marketing, and I wanted to explore that area a little bit more. And this is while I'm going to college. I'm going to college at Utah State, and so I was, of course, I had the summers off, but like I was going to Utah State. Um, I think I was in my, I think I was a year and a half in, and by the time I was thinking about, you know, parting ways with the fencing company and my business partner, um, I think by that time it was 2022. Um, and so I did it for about a year and a half. Can't remember exact time frames, but I know I did it for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, that 6 month mark before I actually ended the company, I was thinking about that.
Mhm.
Um,
Do you feel like
it took me six.
it was
What?
you wouldn't be proud of doing it, like you said, because some people would be, or was it like you couldn't see yourself doing it? Because I think it's important to be proud of what you do, but also being able to like envision yourself doing something forever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think it's both, honestly. Like for me, if I owned a fencing company, like I couldn't see myself being proud of talking about that with my buddies or something. But like having a digital marketing company is something that I think is cool, and so like I wanted to possibly start something like that. And
yeah.
so, um, and then what was the other part of that question? It was
Well, yeah, the
me.
pride thing, and I think you said it there where it wasn't so like one being proud of it, like talking to your buddies about it, but also you
Yeah,
aligned with like you enjoyed digital marketing, and I think
yeah,
also
yeah, yeah. So I didn't. I hated fencing.
yeah,
Like, I mean, I worked. There were days where I was working like 15 hours, and it was just in the hot
yeah,
sun. It was just me. I mean, you helped me with a couple of those
yeah.
jobs,
They were brutal.
actually,
They were
and
brutal.
it was brutal. Um, and so I don't think I've actually ever told you like that entire story, but there were days where got I got to the job at like 6:30 in the
Uh-huh.
morning, and then my phone died at like 8, maybe 9 p.m. Because it's just in hot sun, so it like goes down. When it's in direct sunlight, and so I didn't actually get done with that job until 11 p.m.
Oh,
And luckily, I had like a USB, one of those USB hookups where I could like charge my phone. So I charged my phone, um, and my phone pops up and it says, "I'm calling the cops." And it was a message from my mom and my wife. And that's because like I had worked from 7 to 11 p.m. in the hot sun. Obviously, it was sundown by then, but they were going to call the cops because they had no idea like who I was working for. Like maybe there's some creepo that I was working for that they needed to call the cops on because I just wasn't answering or anything. So
bitch, who knows? That's great.
yeah, exactly. So there were days like that. I mean, I just didn't like fencing because like I had to do all the work, and it was tough because I had jobs once every, like it was every other week, and so I couldn't hire somebody on even part time because I can't say, okay, I can hire you for June 1st to June 7th, and then June 20th to June 28th. Like I just can't do that. Like that's not sustainable for them, And so I couldn't really hire anybody, so I had to ask my friends. My wife actually, Amelia, helped me. She was she was awesome, dude. She was carrying 50-pound cement bags, like carrying them to each hole that we punched. Like it was crazy. But yeah, she's awesome. And then there's a few other friends that helped as well, and that was awesome too. But yeah, so fencing just wasn't for me, and so like I thought about it for 6 months, and literally like at the point where I'd kind of decided like this is not for me anymore. My wife and I had planned a trip to we went to Greece for like 3 months, and we went to Greece for 2 months, and then Italy for a month, just to kind of get a
just experience the world while you're young.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and but before that, like I kind of decided like this fencing company that I'm not going to do this anymore. Like I can't see myself being proud of it, and this doesn't align with what I actually want to do. And so at that point, I actually got a text from Devin, like within a few days of me deciding that. And Devin's my business partner now. But Devin texted me, and I was actually just looking through the text messages a couple days ago, and he's like, "Hey, have you ever thought about starting a digital marketing company?" And Devin and I, like, we hung out. We played basketball with each other in high school, like maybe 4 or 5 times. So like, he didn't have a whole ton of reason to reach out to me, but we knew of each other. But I thought it was cool that he reached out to me at that very moment in time.
Was it like he saw you on LinkedIn or he saw like on Facebook or something? Because you guys had been disconnected.
Yeah.
Right? So how did he even know that you like business?
Yeah. Sorry, I might have to put my dog in.
You're good.
In the bathroom or somewhere in timeout if he starts barking. He hears another dog barking right now. But we had actually, I don't know if he devised some sort of plan or something to ask me, if I had started a digital marketing company or not. But like he had reached out to me about something about 3 months prior to that.
Oh.
And we had talked for like, it was like 4 or 5 texts back and forth with each other. And so I think that naturally led him to, that kind of gave him an opening to ask about a digital marketing company. So yeah, that's kind of
That's cool. I think that's something that a lot of people don't. So I have like a tally in the back of my head all the time of
Yeah.
high caliber people or people that I think have potential to be high caliber in their life
Uh,
that I just text every once in a while. And I feel like that's probably what happened is he like texted you and then back of his mind is like Christian has some potential to be awesome. And then the opportunity arose, so he texted you. I feel like I do
oh, I'm nobody special.
I but I have friends that or people that I've met that kind of just hanging out and then every like 6 9 months or I see something on LinkedIn, I'm like, oh yeah, hey, how you doing? Like I don't have
Oh, yeah.
any reason to reach out.
Well, even that, like I agree with that. I don't necessarily keep like a tally in my head of like who's going to be successful, who I think is going to be successful, because I think that's really good to do. But I think like it's probably in the same arena, but I think to myself, like, who do I think is going to align with me 20 years from now?
I like that.
And, my goals are obviously I'm not at my, highest goals quite yet, but like where my highest goals, like I try to align and keep in contact with those who I think are striving for, a higher goals and a higher achievement.
Yeah, that's better eloquently put. I think like who's
No, I
for
mean,
something rather than there's a lot of people that you meet that are fun to hang out with and stuff, but I don't like my high school friends and stuff. I don't really make as much of an effort these days just because my goals and their goals have differed
yeah,
vastly over the last 8 years, and so I
100%.
love them, but
Mhm.
I'm not the one
Yeah,
starting these conversations a lot of times versus people that I think you said
yeah,
I'm aligned with them and we're both on this trajectory, like
right.
messaging them. So then you started Hova, and it's been a little bit of a wild ride getting your first client. What was that like? Like,
Mhm.
how did you get your first client? Um,
Yeah.
what was the hardest part about getting a first client? Because digital marketing agency, there's a lot of digital marketing agencies, and there's a lot of money to be going around for different agencies. So,
Mhm.
what was the hardest part of getting that first client?
Um, hardest part. That's a good question. I'd say just like it was hard to pick an industry, but I think you kind of, this is just my thoughts, but like you have to pick an industry and commit to it. But like before you commit to an industry, you have to test it. Not you have to, but like I wanted to test like which industry fit Devin and I best and like who we were most comfortable serving and who we could get the best results for. And so I think there was like a mental block in my brain that just like, oh gosh, what industry do I
Yeah,
go to? And it created this like what do you call it? Just analysis by paralysis type of
yeah,
thing, where um, where I was just trying to analyze all the industries, see who had the most money, who could afford my services, what kind of experience I had in the past. And um, I think just like putting Devin's really good at this, and so I'm trying to now mimic what he does, but because he kind of just takes action like that. Like I need to think about. I feel like I need to think about
yeah.
things, um, but he just takes action right then and there, which I really like about him. Um, but it was just taking that first initial foot forward and asking somebody for business. Um, and
That's the
I'm trying to.
just like
Oh, sorry.
no, I was just saying that is the hardest part. I think people there's value and just asking, but I also like how you said like just ask people for business, and I feel like as far as like product market fit or where do you fit in, what's your niche,
Yeah.
it kind of exposes itself, and then once you know it, drill down.
Yeah.
Like I don't know anything about oiling, so I don't know why I'm using this as an example. But you're looking everywhere for oil, and then once you find it, you drill super deep. just suck the oil until it's dry. Like it's the
Yeah.
same.
I like that.
Like I think a lot of times people spend so much time like drilling super deep, but they don't actually know if there's oil. Like they haven't tried putting out just to see
Yeah.
if there's oil, and then they're 100 deep in a well that doesn't have anything. And so like it's okay
Yeah.
to kind of go broad, and then once you hit,
Yeah.
once you strike, go deep.
Yeah. So I think that's what it was for us, was just trying to find out like which hole actually had oil in it. If that's the right way to say it, I don't know. But like, we have gone for like the pest control industry. We went after speakers for a while. We had a couple of random different clients. And then we just, so Devin, he works for a company right now that does social media video editing for, it's for like coaches, speakers, and loan officers, but it's mostly loan officers that he targets. And so Devin knows that industry really well. And so one day we were just like, we've tried all these industries, but we don't really have any experience in. Like I did summer sales. That's a whole nother story. But I did summer sales for pest control, and so I felt like I knew the industry there, but like I didn't know like the back of my hand. But Devin, he knows the mortgage industry like the back of his hand. Like he's been working with them for 7 years now. Like he started out in, I think it was a mortgage company actually, like a brokerage, and then he eventually moved to like a social media video editing company. Yeah. Anyhow, we kind of just looked at each other one day and we're like, dude, you know this industry like the back of your hand. Why are we avoiding this industry?
Yeah.
Like, why haven't we not tested this out? And so we decided to go after the mortgage industry, and we've had a lot more success than we have in a long time. So, I mean, more success than we have had. We've had this business for 2 years, and we're now just having like the success that we're wanting to see. Not meaning that we've hit our goals yet, but like we're moving towards our goals a lot faster than what we have in the last year and a half, 2 years. So once you get your industry, once you know it, you can, start to grow a lot faster.
Yeah. I think it makes sense. When you have the experience, it's so much easier to go faster. A lot of when I started mine, I didn't have a deep industry knowledge in anything, but now I'm 3 years in, a little over three plus, and now I have industry knowledge. And so it's interesting. I think that if you don't have industry knowledge, go everywhere you can and figure out industry knowledge. I think that one lesson I learned is it takes time. It's like one of the biggest variables in starting anything is time. So you guys are 2 years in at the time, but now that you've started seeing growth, what has been the biggest kind of driver? So you've got client 1. How did you get 2, 3, 4, 5, and beyond?
It's all been referrals. Like if you do good work, I don't mean to like pat myself on my back, but like on our back. But if you do good work, you'll get referrals, and so every single thing has been referrals so far. We're now like this is the first month that we're starting to launch some cold email campaigns, and we're just trying to test that out and see what works, see if it works. But we're going to make it work. It's just, is it going to happen now, or is it going to happen 3 months from now? So we're just now trying to do an outbound channel, and that's cold email right now. But it's all been referrals.
So if you had advice for somebody that got their first customer, maybe they're 2 or 3, it might be family, friends, who knows? What would you say? Like you said, if you do good work, and I think it's okay to pat yourself on the back, but if you do good work, what is like good work? I guess in your experience, was it like communicating a ton with the client? Obviously, outputs and the promised results is important, but Did you have to ask for referrals, or was the work so good that it spoke for itself, or was it just over communication?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think a bare minimum, like your client expectations have to meet like your service. So like the I guess the results that you get for your client has to meet their expectations that you promised at the beginning, like bare minimum.
Do you think your fencing company kind of translated over? Because with the fencing, you would give it a really long timeline and then deliver faster, and they'd be happy about it. Is it similar in digital marketing, or in a I guess more of a soft skill? A fence, once the fence is in, the fence is there. But digital marketing, like you can make the promises. Did you do the same thing where you kind of over promise or under promise, over deliver, or are you pretty accurate at promising and delivering?
Yeah, we actually have it's a little bit more random, which we need to, I think, actually almost automate this process. But we always try to like over deliver, because my professors in college, they always talk about like meeting expectations with the results that you produce, like make sure that those match up. But all due respect to them, like
yeah,
they're not making the money that people like Alex Hormozi is making, or like the Gary Vaynerchuk, or people like that. Like those kind of people, they're making buku bucks, and they're telling us to over deliver on what we offer. And so that's what I mean. Like bare minimum, we have to meet their expectations. But if you want to, grow at an exponential rate, at a faster rate, I think over delivering is extremely, extremely important. And that means just delivering more value. Like we can't get, we can't let our clients like push us around and ask for whatever. But like, if they ask for something simple that's in addition to the package that we set up with them, like we're all humans, like we're all people, like we want to deliver value, we want to give more than, that's like what we try to do, honestly, is we just try to give more than what we've promised, and I think that's paid off. So it's a long-winded way to say that.
That's the secret to business. Give more than you get, like, obviously, and then you'll get paid more than you, eventually it'll pay off.
Right.
I think so many people get stuck in like trying to ask for so much. Like I remember talking to you very early on, where it was like going to be this big thing, and we were going to charge $3,000 a month and try to make it happen. But starting out lower, giving $3,000 of effort, charging $300, eventually, and then above. But I think it's okay.
Yeah, because like if you're just starting out, if you're just starting out in an industry, you can create this awesome package where it solves every single one of their problems given your package. But like, you're not going to have the experience necessary to like seriously over deliver. And so you really do have to charge a lower price at first.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you start to over deliver in your results by, I would say, a massive amount, that's a relative phrase, but by a massive amount, at that point, once you can, quote unquote, guarantee your work, then you can raise your prices. But like, you really do have to start like super low by, maybe charge, $300 a month for something that if you were perfect at, you would charge maybe $5,000 a month or something. Like you have to start really low when you're just starting out, and then work from there. I had another thought, but it has escaped my mind. If it is important, it will come back to me. But those are my
the massive amounts. The number I like to try to use, like at least at bare minimum, you're providing like 5 times the value to what you're charging is a really good ratio. Obviously, in like digital marketing, and it depends on the industry. Like if you're doing like a customer service thing, I think any offer you can do, tie it back to either like time or money. So if you're saving them 10 times more time, like I know of apps that help run and do delivery, not like DoorDash, but like just it's called Aaron. It's awesome, but it buys back your time, so you're paying for that 10 times value or 5 times value, and then it's easy to come and say we're giving you 10x, we're going to charge you 3x of that. So if you're making them 30 grand, you can charge them 3x or 30% of that, which is $9,000 a month.
Yeah. So, well, that's what I don't get is like sometimes people feel guilty for charging, $500 a month for, a full, full service package or something when they could be charging like $5,000 a month. Like if you're charging $500 a month, but you're generating like $10,000 worth of revenue, like you're 20xing their investment. Like, why would you not? Like, how would you not feel ethical and comfortable about charging more? Because then at that point, in your client's mind, you actually become more valuable too. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's just like human psychology 101. Like if you charge, if you have a company that charges $200 a month for a full, digital marketing package or whatever, but then you have another company that charges like $5,000 a month for a package, like which is more valuable? And obviously it's the one that, I mean, most people would say that it's the $5,000 a month package. And so I feel like you don't. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think it also goes back a little bit to if you're able to start. Obviously, if you're 18, you don't have any industry experience. Maybe try to glean from like a parent and what job did they do and what problem can you solve for them? Because I think it helps pricing early on if you have experience in like what they're already going through. Because if you have a dad or like Devin's been in mortgage loan officer space for 7 years, like it's so easy to see the direct correlation versus saying, oh, there's this problem, I don't know anything about it, I'm going to charge what I think makes sense, but then you might get in there and realize that there's no money to be spent. But if you know what the problem is that you're solving, like with mortgage loan officers, getting them more leads and like maybe like nurturing them along the way is a huge pain point. So you can just know right away, I'm going to charge this for it.
Yeah. Well, and even going back to like, you have to do industry research before you don't have to, but before you really, really do commit to an industry, you have to do like that industry research. And so I think it's important to know, like you don't have to be, like you said, like you don't have to be a part of the industry beforehand to serve that industry. Like you can find almost anything online nowadays. I mean, even like ChatGPT or Bing, like if you'd have to ask really good specific questions and it might take a while, but like you can get to know it in an industry extremely well just by what you can find on the internet.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot more value that comes from interviews. Like, I think that's extremely beneficial.
I forgot. Yeah, you're doing a lot of interviews. How is that kind of as far as like just talking to them? And how have you got?
Yeah, so
because MLOs are busy people, so like saying, hey, can I snag 30 minutes of your time? They've just been open to it. Yeah. And you tried to make it sweeter for them, or
I honestly, it's just like asking. Like, there's some loan officers that I've gotten in contact with because Devin knows those loan officers, and so it's an extremely easy pass off, I guess, because I'm the one doing the interviews right now. But like some of a lot of the people that I've talked to, I've asked them if I can go to their broker's website and just look at all the loan officers there and email them and see if they, or text them. Most of them have their phone number on the website. And so I'll ask their permission to see if I can go on their business's website to contact all these people and try to get interviews. But, I mean, the point of these interviews is to see if there's anything else out there that we could be offering and make, what Alex Ramosi calls a grand slam offer. And I think he actually quoted somebody on that. I can't remember who it was, but that's like the point of why we're doing market research right now, is because we feel like we know the industry, especially Devin knows the industry quite well, but we just want to see if there's anything out there that we could almost add to our package. But to your question, I've had to cold call, if you want to call it that, just mortgage offices, like the brokerages, and just see if anybody's up for it.
How does that go?
I've asked referrals.
Yeah, when you're doing the cold outreach, it's just like, hey, I'm trying to help. Can I interview, or what do you ask? Because even sometimes you can come across too salesy if you're just trying to get information.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just like, because I know that I'm not trying to sell anything, I think my tone comes across as unsalesy. Yeah. And so I think there is a lot that has to do with your tone as well. Like if you're talking like, hey, I'm just trying to, interview a couple of mortgage guys and gals, and, I'm not trying to sell anything, but I really want to, figure out what your industry does. Like, that sounds kind of salesy, and so you kind of have to downplay it and almost act like and I don't act this way. It's because I'm genuinely curious and confused on, who I should be talking to. But like, I think it's just approaching it with like a genuine curiosity and like a genuine confusion, where like, hey, I'm not sure really who I should be talking to. It's kind of like the Jeremy Miner approach. But I was just hoping to do like a couple of interviews with like a couple of mortgage guys and gals just to get their thoughts on a couple things. And then I talk to them, I chat back and forth with them just for like, it's really brief, but then I just say like, would you be okay with that? Or how would you feel about doing something like that? And like most of them, they're totally open to do that. Like if they don't sense any, salesiness in you, then they're going to be a lot more open to it. And, if you're trying to research the industry, like people want to help out the guy that's not at the top, like they want to help the people that are trying to work their way to the top. And so if you approach it that way, then I think you get a lot more acceptance. So
yeah, I think that
like I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, but I'd love to do an interview like that.
And I think even if you are trying to sell, it can be really beneficial to kind of take that approach, like very disconnected from anything that happens, and asking for advice is such a good way. Like I've used it where it's like, and it's genuine, like you said. Like I'm genuinely curious for advice. If something happens, great. But approaching it that way, and then for your questions of like, oh, well, we're thinking of doing this. It'll reveal in themselves, especially for those first clients. Like it'll reveal that they'll get excited about it because you're going to be talking about it, and they're also disconnected, and then they will be So when are you going to start, doing this thing? And then you're like, oh, we're doing it right now.
Right. And I think it's important too to have like a value swap, because they're taking time out of their day. This is getting like really specific. Maybe nobody's ever going to do like the interviews that we're doing. But in general, there has to be like a value swap. Like we're going to do a month of marketing for free for them. And if they want to continue, fantastic. If not, we're 1000% okay with that, because they gave their time to us.
Yeah.
And so that's what we are offering is a month of marketing for free after we create that package. But I don't tell them on the call actually, or in the text that I have with them, because it sounds a little bit more salesy when I approach it that way.
Even like that, you've made that conversation and connection. I feel like
Right.
it's way natural.
Right. Because if there's an offer, then I think just in general, if there's an offer, then it seems kind of salesy. But like if you just approach it like, hey, if you could help me, that'd be awesome. And then eventually do that value swap. I think that helps a lot. But it could be different with different industries, but that's just what
I like that actually a lot. Because even free offers are getting so common these days that just saying like, oh, we're going to do this thing for free. There's always a price tag on the backside of free, whether it's like unrelated cost like their time, or it's free for so long. So like reaching out, especially for new people, reaching out first for advice and like genuine, then saying, hey, I want to work for you for free. It's gonna be that's really, really nice. A lot of people can benefit from that, especially if they're trying to start something new.
Right. And I think that it's important to note too, like more people are willing to help than you think, and it's okay to get no's. Like I'm okay getting told no. Of course, I don't like being told no, but like I know there's a lot of people out there that are willing to help. So, and it's not just industry by industry, like human beings are human beings are human beings, right? Like people are willing to help, especially if you're just starting out. So
yeah, I like to think about the world in like percentiles. Like there's always going to be the 10 percentile or 1 percentile that are just rude. You're like, hey, I'm trying to like get a real job. I don't know, it's something just rude. Like, what's going on? But there's the vast majority. I think the 33% or 66% are like good people, and then you'll run into that top 10 percentile that are like, no, I don't want to do it. Like, I'm grateful that you're willing to do it for free, but I want to pay you also. Like, there's everybody along the spectrum. You just have to talk to the people.
That's true.
So
agreed.
So you're in school. You're starting a business. You're still working. You have a little family that's getting started. What advice do you have to somebody that's trying to get started? They're being hesitant about it, and they're waiting for the right conditions or the right idea. Or what's your advice for them?
I think a lot of people have hesitation because they don't want to ask for money from people. That was my hesitation. And so just completely, a lot of people will say, just do it.
Yeah.
And that's great and all, but like you have to identify what your hesitations actually are. Like get down, like ask, there's that, I've never read it, but there's that book that tells you to ask yourself why 7 times. So get down to the bottom of your hesitation and then try to flip that on itself so you don't have to deal with that hesitation and then move forward from there. So like for me, I was really hesitant to ask people for money because I was just uncomfortable with that. So for our first 5 or 6 clients, we offered an entire website design and, to host the website and do all that for free. Like we did the entire websites for free. It was like completely free. And then if they liked it, so we have like a CRM that we do, it was like for pest control companies that we were doing this for. If they liked the website and they liked all the different things a part of the CRM, they could continue with us, plus cancel at any time, like, whatever it is, just to get yourself started. And then at that point, when you started to grow your confidence, then you can start to crack down on like, okay, I'm actually going to start charging more because I actually do deliver lots of value. So
I like that a lot.
That's kind of my approach. Just identify your hesitation, ask yourself why a bunch of times. And then at that point, try to flip it on itself by changing something and just making it really easy to start.
I like that a lot. I can't remember who wrote the 7 Whys, but really, yeah, once you get 7 years in, it might be like, I don't want to start. Why? Because I don't think I'll succeed. Why don't I think I'll succeed? Well, because, you boil it all the way down. You're like, well, my dad one time when I was 8 at a Little League football game said this mean thing. And you're like, that's why I'm doing this thing I've been wanting to do.
Right.
Like, so I like that advice. I
Right.
think that's really, really useful. Yeah, I don't know if I have any other questions. This was really useful. I think there's a lot of good stuff that
Cool.
people can take and start their thing. Just start somewhere.
Yeah.
Figure out why you have hesitation. Get started. Provide tons of value. Charge less so you can get in, and then as you get confidence, bring your price up. And just keep going along.
Yep. And then there's just always time to. There's always time to start. Like, you wake up at 8 a.m. and then you have you get ready and you go to your 9 to 5 job. I'm in college, so I can't really speak to this, but just for anybody, in general, you have something that you're doing 9 to 5 or something, and then you get home and you just talk yourself out of doing something because you don't have time. But you could be waking up earlier, you could be doing it during your job if your job would allow that. You could be doing it when everybody's sleeping, late at night. For me, I don't want to take away from family time at all, and so I'm very strict with 6 o'clock on. I'm not doing anything until everybody's asleep, and so there's been nights where I've had to stay up later and get things going, or even wake up early. I'm not a morning person by any means, but you kind of just have to do if you want it that bad, you gotta go for it. So
there's always time. I'm right there where I believe in work family balance, but I don't believe in work lifestyle balance. I haven't done so many hobbies I enjoy for years and years because I put time into it, and I also need those 2 to 4 hours every night with my family after work. So, but there is time apart from that. Unless you're, I don't know. Obviously, there's those rare cases, but
yes,
somewhere in your day where you can, especially these days where you have a phone, you can start texting people. There's just so much.
Right. You can always start now. When I say you could, there's always time to start. Like you said, it could be 10 minutes a day, or it could be 30 minutes a day, or even 5 minutes a day, or something. But there's always time to start sometime. But you're right. There are cases where people literally don't have any time to do whatever, to start something. But you can start with 5-10 minutes.
Even that, 10 minutes a day. If you're into fitness, you have 10 minutes. You can text your friend and maybe get the first 2 or 3 people, and then you start your business as an accountability person, just texting, "Hey, did you work out today?" You can start anything. That's crazy. Figure out why you're not starting. I like that a lot. I've never even thought about the hesitation thing, but figure out what's keeping you.
Oh yeah.
Jump in.
Yeah.
So
we should do this more often.
This was